All right, we're ready to roll. All right, guys, it's good to have y'all back in today. Let's look at hair pigment, okay? This is where we pause, but we want to kind of close this up this week. Let's look at hair pigment, and I don't think we get too much further along in the chapter. And today we're going to take a look. We're going to talk about hair color, but I want you to be very interactive with me today. So if you have any questions, please don't hesitate. There's no such thing as a dumb question that don't fit or whatever. But if it has something to do with hair, has something to do with pigment or the structures, what we're going over is definitely needed. So let's make sure that we jump in today. Also, I'm going to refer back to a book that I wrote, and it's called Secrets of a Colorist. Um, and it has a section on hair pigment. Of course, it's about hair color. And so I thought I'd pull it up so we can refer back to that. And one of the cool things about the book, the book is used all across the United States, but um, it has a very detailed and clarified way of explaining hair color. And so even though you have this text here, sometimes people don't get it. You know, it takes a couple of times for them to go over it for it to register. And so my goal is to also make sure you have the book, whereas it'll be an easier reference where maybe in your study, and when we do get to hair color, it'll be an easier reference and understanding. Okay. So let's look at hair pigment. Everybody needs to know that hair pigment, the official term for the hair's pigment is melanin. Okay. And this is the color of hair, skin, and nails. So you find melanin in hair, skin, and nails. Okay. So natural hair color is the result of pigment called melanin. All right. Now, where is melanin located? It's located in the cortex. All right. So let's do a slight review. You have three layers of the hair shaft. You have the cuticle. Okay, that's what you can see with your naked eye. And it's about 10 to 12 sections. Okay, so you're just not looking at one layer of the cuticle. And it's a thick layer. The layers of the cuticle are going to be different based on the texture of the hair. So if you have fine, medium, or coarse hair, of course, the coarser hair has more protection, it's tougher, it has more layers of the cuticle. Fine hair does not have that many layers of the cuticle. It's on the lesser end, which means it's, just like sensitive skin, have to be a little bit more protective because you don't have that many layers. And so harsh things, harsh chemicals, products that you may want to put on the hair may not have a chance because the cuticle layer is so thin. Okay. And so you want to always build up the cuticle layer. And once you build that up, you also would be able to say, hey, now since I know the hair is stronger, all right, it can take more. I may be able to push the hair a little bit further than where you would normally be able to do that. And there are all kind of products that will strengthen the hair. Many of you guys may have heard of Olaplex. It's all kind of plexes. Every company you can think of that does hair color has come out with some kind of strengthening, some kind of plex. Okay, and with that in mind, that strengthens the hair as you color the hair or as you chemical treat the hair. And so ultimately, that product that you're using, whether it's Olaplex or another Plex, it is simply strengthening your hair and allowing you to get to where you want to go in that service without the hair breaking off. All right. We'll do more research on that as well. So melanin is the natural pigment. Okay. As I stated before, everybody on Earth has the same amount of melanin cells. They call them melanocytes. Everybody has the same amount of melanin cells, whether you're Fitzpatrick 1 and you're from Ireland, or whether you are Fitzpatrick 6 and you're from Kenya, okay, Africa. Either way, you all have the same amount of melanin cells. No one person has more than the other one, just, you know. But what happens, how we all develop into different shades of pigment, different, has a different result of pigment, is because some melanin cells, they produce more melanin, and other melanin cells do not produce melanin. Okay. So either they're there and they're just not working, they're inactive, or they're there and they just produce a minimum amount. And whereas this is why people can tan and heat activation, they can sunburn, heat activation will cause their skin to get darker. It's not just as simple as the sun or tanning bed just heat on the skin, but what's happening, the heat activates those melanin cells. Okay. And so those individuals that do have some type of um, inactivity in the melanin cells when they get under heat pressure, whether the sun or the bathing or the sun tanning bed, you're going to start to see their skin maybe get darker. This is what they call tanning. And it just doesn't just get darker. What we need to know is that those melanin cells have been activated and they are starting to produce more melanin in the skin. And a lot of times it is very temporary. Okay, which means after a couple of days, individuals you may see their skin go back pale. Okay, and the tan will start to reduce. And so this is what the nerdy part of hair that you need to understand is that when you do see someone who was one Fitzpatrick, maybe one or two on the Fitzpatrick, very, very light skin, very, very, their cells do not produce a lot of melanin or no melanin at all. Okay, we call, sometimes you may use the word as pale. And then you have individuals who are 4, 5, and 6 who are Indians, Africans, Spaniards. Okay, they will start to produce more melanin. Their skin will start to be darker, Africans. Okay, and so their melanin cells are producing a lot of melanin. Either way, the sun can burn everybody. Okay, but it will produce more skin color on those individuals that have melanin cells that are producing skin color. You're not going to get darker if your melanin cells are already inactive. You're just going to burn the skin. All right. And so I just want to have just an understanding of melanin and melanin cells. We all got the same amount. It's just how well one produces the actual melanin. Okay. Some cells produce, some cells do not produce. Simple as that. When we look at melanin in the hair, there are 2 types of melanin in the hair. Along with family DNA heritage is what helps us determine what type of hair we have, and also in the color of hair that we have. So it's a lineage, okay? Sometimes our mama, daddy, our daddy, and them, we pick up their textures. Sometimes it doesn't pick up with one generation, it picks up with the next. So when we talk about melanin in the hair, there's 2 types of melanin. You're either gonna fall into, it's really 3 categories, okay? One, eumelin, EU melon, eumelanin, okay? Eumelin consists of brown and black pigment that is predominant pigment in black and brunette. So when you find someone who is, they're born with dark hair, either black or brown, okay, that person has a melanin undertone of the eumelin, okay? Brown or black undertone, eumelin Y'all remember that. And then we have pheomelanin, P-A-G-O, pheomelanin. It's the yellow to red pigment in natural blonde and red shades of hair. So when someone is born naturally blonde, they fall between red and orange, red and yellow. So you're talking about anyone who's born with blonde hair, anyone who's born with orange undertone, okay, anyone who's born with red hair. Now you can have individuals who are red brown, where their hair looks dark, but you can tell that it's red. Sometimes we say there's a dusty red, or it looks like sand. And you can have eumelin or pheomelanin on any racial background. Okay. So blonde hair is not just born on Europeans. Okay. Blonde hair is not just born on Europeans. You can go to Switzerland and you will see Black people with blonde hair, 613 hair. Okay. And it's all a genetic makeup. And I'm not of that level where I can explain it. I'm not that type of scientist, but I'm a hair scientist, okay? And so you can go anywhere around the country and see anybody, and genetically, they may have something that you don't see all the time. You don't normally see African Americans, or not even, I can't even call it African Americans, people of color, because if they've been in Switzerland all their life, you don't know what their background is. Some people call them Aboriginals. But um, individuals, and I know this for a fact, live in Switzerland. They're Black and they have 613 blonde hair. So we can squash the myth that only Caucasian or Europeans are born with blonde hair. Okay, it is all over. I've seen African Americans with red hair, born with red. I've seen African Americans born with orange to brown hair. Okay, we call them ginger. And so right now, if you, we just also would like to not talk about people through race. All right. And so you have someone who is born with yellow, red, the natural blonde, red shades. Between yellow and red is going to be orange. So someone born with warm color, yellow, red, orange undertones, or just that's the color of their hair, they are considered pheomelanin based. Someone that is born with a darker pigment to their hair in the black, red undertones, that's going to be considered eumelanin. Okay. Let me give you an example of each. There's really only one people of color that's born, well, maybe two. Let me just say this. Um, you would probably never see an African or African American that is born with black pigment in their hair. Okay. It's probably going to be a brown pigment in their hair. When we look at full-fledged black pigment, we're looking at Asians. I don't really like to say Oriental, but we're looking at Asians, Chinese, Japanese, and that particular culture family, born with pitch black hair. Also, you can look at Indians, and it's Indian, Native American, Hispanics that could be born with pitch black hair. Okay. And so that's why it's always good to study groups of people, culture, history. All right. And so this is it all comes together when it's time to formulate hair color. You just know what a culture background typically is made up of, but anybody could have these particular backgrounds. Anybody could have these undertones of hair color. All right. Pheomelanin, when you're looking at someone that has this sandy brown, red, or orange, or even blonde hair, they have a pheomelanin undertone. Okay. You may say, Ms. Cox, what does that mean? Simply this: someone who's born eumelin is going to be at the bottom of the level system, which means for them to get the blonde, you got to go through the whole rainbow of colors. All right. And when you put hair color on hair, it will start to, the undertone, the eumelin or the pheomelanin will start to come up first. That's what you will see. In your hair color mind, you don't want, the client is not paying for orange hair, pheomelanin, okay? Because as soon as you put lightener on, you're gonna find a strong sense of eumelin, pheomelanin that'll come up. Most likely it's gonna be orange or red undertones. You're gonna have to fight through that or formulate to fight through that in order for you to get the pure blondes that you want. Pheomelanin, you're gonna start at maybe the middle of the level system, which is a little easier. And then eumelin, you're gonna start at the bottom of the absolute bottom of the level system. Okay, so sometimes it can be a little harder for individuals to learn hair color when you're always starting from the bottom. You got to fight your way up. Okay, and so you're going to go through all the colors until you see the tone that you want, and yours begin to tone it. So everybody either has eumelin or pheomelanin. The third type of melanin is called mixed melanin. MIXED, mixed melanin. Can you guys put that in the chat? I just want to check if y'all still with me. Mixed melanin. 2 words. Mixed melanin. Load the chat up for me. Mixed melanin. Just make sure y'all still alive on the other side. I see 2. Yep, there you go. Mixed melanin. All right. And mixed melanin pretty much, and when you think about DNA, you think about individuals that are multicultural. Back in the day, they did say mixed. You're looking at 2 racial profiles mixed together, where you may have one parent of one race, another parent of another race. And so in that, we do have mixed melanin, okay? And so we may have one with a eumelanin preference, one with a pheomelanin preference, and then we have both of those in play in the child that was produced. All right. So with a person having mixed melanin, it could be all over the head, it could be in certain areas, it could be in one patch. But that's mixed melanin. All right. And then in the chat, put gray hair, GRAY, gray hair. And this is what I want to highlight. But sometimes my lady doesn't get it all right. Okay. Gray hair versus white hair. Okay. So here it says the absence of melanin causes gray hair. The absence of melanin causes gray hair. So that means there's no melanin. All right. The absence of melanin causes gray hair. Okay, if there's no melanin, let me tell you what gray hair is. Technical term is Canisians. We'll go over that shortly. Okay, but gray hair is simply a black hair and a white hair that sit next to each other. When these 2 hairs that sit next to each other, they will camouflage as gray hair. All right, so remember that gray hair is a pigmented hair and a non-pigmented hair that sits next to each other that makes your eye think that is gray hair. Hold on one moment. Hey, sister. All right. So you guys did good. You're alive. You're in the chat. All right. So remember, gray hair is white strand next to a pigmented strand. And, you know, gray is a mixture of white and black. This is where people get salt and pepper. You know, it's 50% white hair, 50% black hair. This is where people get the term salt and pepper. All right. Now, white hair is the absence of no melanin. Please understand, white hair has no melanin. So it may be an advanced teaching right now. This may be an advanced moment. So although it says the absence of melanin causes gray hair, okay? Gray hair is simply a black and white strand that sit next to each other. All right. Gray hair grows, and really gray hair can be substituted as white hair. All right. Hair with no pigment grows from the hair bulb in the same way that pigment hair grows. So it comes out, it's formulated with no pigment. Okay. Some people will say, how is this so long as we have no melanal cells? Well, we do have melanal cells. Remember, the ones that produce hair, produce color. And then you have some that just have color, but the color is not active. Over a period of time, age, we call it life, be lifing, you have naturally, genetically, your hair will stop producing melanin. And then you have DNA genetically before age. It's just a genetic makeup of the hair, skin, and nails that you would actually stop producing melanin in this area. Melanin was there. Okay. So now the hair has grown with no absolute melanin at all. So it has it's on a pause. You still have melanin in your skin. You still have melanin in other areas, but you don't have it in hair. It just becomes a pause. And so this is why we call premature graying. It's just because there's a clock that just cut off. All right. There are essential oils, flowers, herbs as well that will halt pigment. Okay. It will halt pigment. There are injections that one could take that can increase pigment. And you maybe say, oh my goodness, yeah, someone who is who I would just say you're someone who's European, you can purchase, just like you purchase Botox, you can purchase melanin injections. And you're only supposed to do it like once a month or whatever, but you do have people that abuse it. The more you use it, the more gradually your skin gets dark. Okay. So there are documented cases of individuals who have always wanted to have brown skin doing over, just doing over the prescribed amount of melanin injections. And so from their pupils to everything, you can tell that they are initially another race. But the injection of the melanin sometimes becomes uneven, and you're not always going to fulfill a fantasy, because you're trying to make something into something that God didn't intend for it to be. And so there are documented cases. So look that up. Lady that wanted to be black, and she injected herself with she went to the doctor, and they did it overseas with the melanin shots, just like Botox shots. And she's addicted to it. So can you imagine? I think she's from Switzerland. Can you imagine how she looks? And her skin is darker, but you know, you can tell that it's injections. So that happens. I just want you to know that white hair is really what they call gray hair. And white hair, when you are colorist, white hair has no melanin. This is what I want you to lock in, and you guys are going to be smarter than anyone that has a life. This is what I want you to lock in. you cannot color hair unless you cannot change the color of hair unless there is pigment in the hair for you to change. Drop the mic. You cannot change the color of hair unless there's pigment in the hair for you to change. So white hair or gray hair sometimes gives people the most problems because it does not have any active pigment to help you change the color. This is why we would do what we call double process or triple process on white hair. We will have to feed color in or push color in, force something on the white hair. Once that is on the white hair, it may be what I call the stain. It just stained it. Now I can go in with my color formula because now I have something that my formula can pick up. All right. And so once that starts to pick up, we'll have color change at that time. But you have some people who go all their lives in beauty industry cannot color gray hair or white hair. You know, it's just not an understanding that you got to have something in there in order for it to change. And with white hair having nothing, many times you will go through the process. It looks like it's picked up, but then you put it underwater, it rinses out. Okay. Or you're trying to color white hair red and it rinses out pink. Because remember, you add white to anything, it is going to give a pale version of it. This is why you have a hair color, you're trying to take white hair to black. And what if the undertone was purple? When you rinse out the black hair, you now have purple hair. It picked up the stain or whatever was in the color. It actually did not color the hair. And so that's a gem that for you guys to take, and you're not even a licensed professional, but you will consider that when coloring, and you'll be 10 times better than the normal colorists out here because you understand the concept that something has to be in it in order for it to change. And if white hair has nothing in it, well, you're not going to get the results that you want when it's time to rinse. The color is going to rinse down the drain as well. Did that make any sense? I want to make sure that you guys are understanding, so I'm trying to take it slow a little bit. All right, good job. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Okay, here's another thing. If melanin is missing, melanin is going to pull out the moisture as well. Melanin is also going to pull the strength of the hair out as well. So the issues you start to see with white hair, okay, it does not have any pigment. White hair / gray hair. It does not have any pigment. White hair / gray hair may be dark, may be drier because it pulls the moisture out as well. And also it may pull the elasticity out. So you may see this hair get weaker. All right. And so that's something you need to know. You're carrying, if most of your clients are going to be seniors, or you're going to be dealing with clients that have gray hair, as soon as they come in and sit in the chair, I already know not only do I need to take, am I going to color the gray hair, but I have to pick up a journey that's going to give it moisture. I got to pick up a journey that's going to strengthen it. So I already know they need a protein and they need a hydrating moisture steam treatment, something, that sounds amazing. And then they probably need color as well. And if they don't want color, we'll just move with the healthy hair maintenance, which is I need to make sure it's hydrated. I need to also make sure that it's strong. And so that's whenever you see white hair, whenever you see gray hair, because the absence of melanin is also the absence of elasticity, which is strength of the hair. The absence of strength and melanin also is the elasticity, is the reduction. Okay. Though not elasticity, the reduction of collagen fibers, the things that help keep the hair not only strong and moist, but keep it hydrated. It may be a reduction of oil being produced to the scalp. So it may have a lack of a few things. When you see white and gray hair, just know on the hair care end, you're gonna have to go in and use the best to retain and um, reshape the hair. Any questions? Okay. I'm gonna stop share because I want to pull up the book real quick. Hold on. All right, here we go for the share. All right, so I'm gonna go to, I try to pull it up, but this is not how it looks printed, y'all. I wanna go to melanin. All right, so let's talk hair structure just a little bit. This is more so advanced and advanced meant to the book. So it's not always meant for students because I don't, it's meant for professionals, but I do have a lot of students that use it. There's something called the F layer. If you can put the F layer in the chat for me, please. F layer. This F layer. Now, the F layer, although my lady has us to teach there are 3 layers of the hair shaft, cuticle, cortex, medulla. It has been researched by chemical scientists that there's a 4th layer, but I tried to get this added to the textbook and they didn't want to add it to the textbook. So it's advanced training. There's a 4th layer called the F layer. Okay. The F layer, it says, as I look beyond the surface, I found an intriguing factor about the hair fiber. F layer is the surface of the hair is covered in a covalently bound. Okay, so it's a chemical makeup that coats the hair. The F layer is a coating protecting the cuticle. Once this coating is broken, and it can only be broken through overprocessing relaxers, chemicals, lighteners. Once it's broken, it cannot be repaired. But once it's broken, it exposes the cuticle to this another level of damage. Okay. So as long as it's intact, it protects the hair, it protects the cuticle. But what takes it out of its comfort mode is the aggression of products, relaxers, and lighteners. So, AKA bleaches. And so, yes, we do have a layer, 4th layer that protects the hair. It's called the F layer. Once it is disturbed, broken, you can't rebuild it. New hair that grows in with the F layer. Sometimes people say when they stop getting relaxers or stop getting, they will say, oh, my hair just feels so much better. It's healthier. 9 times out of 10, it is healthier, but it's healthier because you have the outside layer intact and you're not using chemicals that would aggressively dissolve that layer. And so, yes, individuals will not even see growth. They will see texture change, how it feels, the manageability of it, because the F layer is intact because it was not attacked by aggressive chemicals. Okay. And so that's just a note to always remember, although we see the cuticle, cortex, and medulla at the end of the day, there is a 4th layer. Okay. And that 4th layer protects the cuticle. And once it is intact, or if it stays intact, you're going to see stronger, healthier hair. If it is damaged, and mostly only damaged to chemicals, you're going to see the hair become just open to different things such as easily to break, over processing, and just dry ends, brittle ends, just the cuticle busting up. All right. And so a lot of times before you even touch someone's head, you know exactly what's going on. This is also why people revert to a big chop to get all the old stuff off. Okay, because it's probably at a state that you cannot return, and so that's not going to make it any better. It's just going to look. Your growing process, your split end process may get worse with it on there. So just wanted you to learn about the F layer. Any questions about the F layer? And you can find the info of the F layer, PNG Science, Beauty and Grooming Research. Okay. And so definitely it shows your protection before you even get to the cuticle, just even in smoothing services. So there's so much documentation that can help with that. I wanted to find, this is what I wanted to show you, our color wheel. And let me ask, somebody can unmute. Melanin falls into 3 categories. Can somebody give me the categories? Melanin falls into three categories. I talked about
You want me to name the colors? That's
um
that's what you asking?
is it referencing eumelin, pheomelin, mixed melon? That's what I'm referencing. So you melanin falls into three categories that we discussed in the beginning of the class. What are those three categories? I just gave them to you. Okay. Those three categories, melanin is broken up into three categories. Your book will tells you two, eumelin, pheomelin. I gave you a third one, mixed melanin. Okay. When you look at the color wheel, if someone is eumelin, remember they have a darkness to the hair, brunettes, black, brown. So you'll start what you'll see. This side is cool. Okay. So eumelin can have cool undertones. Blacks can have this purple or blue or green undertone. Okay. So a person literally can have a green undertone. And individuals that may have that come from India, the continent in India, the country, they have this ash blue or green undertone in their skin and in their hair. So when you're taking an Indian person who has this dark undertone, maybe ashy undertone, you put bleach on their hair, you're going to see green probably come up. Okay. And in order for you to get to, blonde or whatever, you got to bust through this green. So we would, in the color world, we would have to cancel out the green to go forward to get where we want to go. For individuals like Asians, you're going to see them have a purple or blue undertone. That's going to tell me that their hair color is going to be like jet black. Okay. In order for them to go to blonde, you will have to go through, you got to bust through this black, blue, go through purple, you got to go through red, you got to go through orange. It's going to go through a lot of ugly stuff to get to blonde. When we talk pheomelon, we talk a person that will have naturally blonde or red undertones. I told you that you can't have yellow and red without having orange. So this person who's pheomelon is going to have yellow, orange, red undertones in their hair, skin, and nails. So if you're going to lighten someone's hair pheomelon and they have this red orange undertone, you're gonna have to go through all this brassiness. This may take you 2 hours. Okay, and most people are like, you have that color on their hair that long, it may break. You have to do the max, rinse, hydrate, restructure, go back out, put the same product on again, and it picks up. And most of the time, this is also why when you charge for color services, you don't give a price over the phone. You don't, you just, you may say, well, this is the cost plus hourly plus products, which makes sometimes your color services anywhere between $400-$500 to I've seen color services $4,000. All right. Because they're trying to move drastically from one part of the town to the next. I wanted to show you the color wheel so you'll know when you meet people, find out where they're from. You learn about their parents, you learn about their grandparents. You can pretty much say in their skin, they're either eumelin or pheomelin. In their skin, there are Kenya, the country Kenya on the continent of Africa. you'll find individuals that have a purple undertone to their skin. And you would say, what that's a really, 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 really dark skin. It is a really, really, really dark skin. Okay. And to make their features pop, you're going to use mostly golds and yellows. All right. And it's not like a yellow crayon. It is golds and yellows that would help highlight, bring a little life to the skin so the skin is not just plain one color. Golds and yellows. And you use that in your highlight. Sometimes it could be the base for shadows. It's all kinds of stuff. But that's one major component. I wanted you to see that. I also wanted you, we're not talking color right now, but it breaks it up for you. So those people who are eumelin, who are pheomelin, they come in and they're warm. And then you got the other side, which is cool. So your client either gonna be warm or they're gonna be cool. I wanted to show you something. So this is your traditional level system. I call it the American or universal level system. So although you have your clients that come in that are more pheomelin or more eumelin, they will fall into one of these levels. Okay? They will fall into one of these levels. All right. So when you talk about someone who's born with blonde hair, they're born already up here in the yellow to pale yellow undertone, which means you can put any color you want going down and their hair color is going to be amazing. But when you have someone who is born with the black or brown undertone, see where they are? And in order for them to get to the blonde, they got to go through through red, orange, gold, all these blondies to get here. And so that just needs to be an understanding, as you guys move forward. I am looking at the pigment. I'm asking questions about heritage. And there you go, black and brown. You have to go through all this just to get the hair to blonde. And some people think, oh, I can just mix bleach together. And what happens, the bleach starts to remove your natural pigment. And remember, what's in the same area as the pigment is going to be your moisture and elasticity. So as the bleach is removing the melanin, you're also removing the strength of the hair. You're also pulling out all the moisture of the hair. And so this is why you would tell your clients they want color. You have to consistently make up in your mind that you're going to come to the salon, because even though we give you this amazing color, the drastic disappointment comes later. And it tells me if you took care of your hair or not. Okay. So doing a hair color service, getting the best, rating it from eumelin to pheomelin. Remember, it's the best. It's amazing. But you have to keep other things in place. Okay. Got to keep other things in place. So hair care is going to be a big component when you start to discuss hair color with your clients. Okay. Hair color with your clients. Any questions? And this is the gray hair. Come on. I need everybody to give me something. Give me a takeaway so far. Give me a takeaway so far. Indiana and Teresa. Something that has stood out so far.
That you can't color gray hair without pigment?
That's good. You got to have a contributing pigment. Okay, that's good. Teresa, what is pigment called, y'all? What's the term for pigment, your natural pigment? What is it called?
Melanin?
Yep, melanin. All right, melanin. Teresa, final call. All right, this is what I wanted to share with gray hair. And also, I'm going to update this maybe a little bit. And I'm going to send it to you guys sometime this week. It's a free bonus. I usually teach color from it, but it is a amazing book. When you ask anybody about it that does color, they probably have the book. Okay, so with gray hair, it's a combination of pigmented and non-pigmented hair. Like I stated before, really you have to look at gray hair as white hair. All right, it's very translucent, does not have any contributing pigment. We must, in order to color it, we need to fill it first. We need to stain it, and then we'll put our color on. This is what we call the beginning of a double to triple process. And if you're going to be coloring gray hair, the cost should have just went up because you got to use more product, more time, and more processes. Okay. And so the more detail that they want the gray hair, they don't want one color, they want two colors, they want highlights. The more you add, the more thinking I got to do, and the more cost it's going to cost you. All right. So I just want to show you guys there. When you look at gray hair percentages, it starts off 25%, just a few strands. Then it becomes 50%. That's what we call salt and pepper. And then 75%, you have more white hairs than you have pigmented hairs. And then 100%, you have all white hair. Okay. And so that's what I wanted to share with you. Cosmo, y'all are done for today. We'll pick back up in class tomorrow. And then I'll be in theory with you again on Thursday. I want to try to close this up this week, okay? Um, I'm going to give you your same clock times, but you can clock out. It is now time for the estheticians to come through. They are not on, okay? So you guys can go ahead and leave. And if you want to join the SD class, come back in about 15 minutes or so. But if they don't come on, I'm not going to have the class, okay? So check back in. You guys can stay on the clock till your normal time, okay? Stay on until your normal time, but just go ahead and take a break and see y'all soon, all right?